Hey, so today's video, or this video, is about a site that you may have been familiar with before, maybe not, but it's known as Teotihuacan, and it's in Mexico, just north of Mexico City. So this site sort of rose in population and peaked between CE 1 and 400. And so for population perspective, if you've watched the Cahokia video, you'd know that there's about 20,000 people in Cahokia. By 400 in this city, we're looking at probably 125 to 200,000 people. So orders of magnitude larger population at Teotihuacan, and also about 700 years earlier. Also for perspective, London in the 1200s would have had about 20,000 people, so 700 years before London even got even remotely big. And also the footprint alone of London at this time, about 400, was very, very small by comparison. You could probably fit most of London contemporary at the time within this plaza, or at the very least between where this view is to the Pyramid of the Sun. So you're probably wondering, what are we looking at right here? Well, this is actually accessed through the ASU, which is Arizona State University's Teotihuacan Research Laboratory. So I'm only going to give you a little snippet of Teotihuacan, and I encourage you to go explore the Teotihuacan Research Laboratory. If you just type in ASU Teotihuacan, make sure you spell Teotihuacan right, you'll get a lot of information about the site. And if you go to the About page, you're going to get a lot of information about the site, but then also you have these drop-down tools, and at the very bottom here we've got the virtual field trip that you can explore the site. So we're kind of spinning around looking at the Pyramid of the Moon, and then off in the distance down the Avenue of the Dead through this central plaza, we've got the Pyramid of the Sun, which is much larger than the Pyramid of the Moon. So one of the links that I clicked on in the About Teotihuacan, this first one right here, there's a lot of maps on here, a lot of information about Teotihuacan, but the gist of it that you need to know is the Moon Pyramid, the Pyramid of the Sun, the Feathered Serpent Pyramid, all along the Avenue of the Dead. And you can sort of see just from this initial layout that architecturally it's a complex web of buildings and platforms and whatnot. So it creates a different kind of archaeology than perhaps what we might be dealing with in Cahokia or the Valley of the Kings, because everything's above ground. When we're looking at the maps for the atlas for the Valley of the Kings, those were looking at subterranean features. And you have that here as well when you go into the pyramids, but generally speaking, you have above ground architectural features associated with the archaeology. So it leads to a little bit different way of mapping and interpreting sites. So for perspective here, we're way zoomed out. Teotihuacan, if we zoom back in, is in the town of San Juan Teotihuacan, which is up here. Here's Mexico City. And the region that we also will be emphasizing in a book I have over here is Texcoco, which is in between Teotihuacan and Tenochtitlan, now today known as Mexico City. But if we zoom out, the Maya civilizations and the Maya culture is mostly in this area of the Yucatan and the highlands of Guatemala. And Teotihuacan's over here. So if you can imagine, this is the Paris or the Milan of its day, where if there's something changing in fashion trends, in iconography, in the way that things are cooked, cultural hub, that things are moving in and out of Teotihuacan, because you can imagine a city that large, that's 10 times larger than London, rivaling Rome in terms of its size. Actually, I don't know off the top of my head if it's larger than Rome at the same time, but suffice to say, it's definitely in the top 10 largest cities in the world at the time. And so you have people coming there from all walks of life around the region, bringing their own perspectives. So it's a nexus point of culture and exchange. And we see that archaeologically. It's sort of like the Teotihuacan effect of things happening in Teotihuacan spread east, spread north, spread south, spread west. And so definitely I encourage you to go learn more about the site, check out the virtual tour. I'm going to jump over now to the overhead projector and show you a little bit about a book that we have in our collections. The bookshelf behind me includes most of the books from the why am I blanking here? Our anthropology collections for teaching. So these are not in general circulation, mostly because, as you can see from this book, they're older, they're a little bit more fragile. This is from 1971. Some of them contain images of human remains or grave items that is more of a case-by-case basis. If we have a scholar who wants to look at them, we might allow access to them. But again, it's also just as needed. So there's a lot of archaeological reports we have here. This is just one of them. And I want to highlight this one to sort of show how it's different reporting style in Mesoamerican archaeology as opposed to, say, North American, because we took a look at the Cahokia Atlas for that one, we took a look at the Atlas for the Valley of the Kings, and now we're looking at prehistoric settlement patterns in Texcoco region, Mexico, by Jeffrey Parsons at the University of Michigan. And very quickly, when we flip open here, we can see, and I'll actually just get a pen out so I can start to point a little bit better, and it's probably a little hard to see on this image here, but they're looking at very minimal information about the topography, but emphasizing the architecture here. So we've got some sort of structure going on here, and then here's what the structure looks like. If we flip to this next page, you'll see here's some possible terraces. Again, looking at a complex, some rubble. But then here's where it gets really wild when we start looking at floor plans and we start looking at how archaeologists, well, just these big solid black lines showing you general floor plan layouts. I think there's another one. Yeah, here's another good one of various structures at the site. So not really feature-centric or artifact-centric, but looking at the architecture itself is a really common theme that we see in archaeology of Mesoamerica. Now, granted, this is also true of anywhere else that you might have stone wall architecture, so maybe ancient Rome, in the Mediterranean. But this is a very different way of interpreting archaeological sites than what we might think of in North America, where we're looking at features, soil stains. So we don't have an above-ground presence of the palisade that existed at Cahokia, but we do at a lot of sites in Central America. So the way that they map them is going to be slightly different. So they're less keen on maybe mapping sort of topography, except for maybe in this example, we can see the contours aren't actually provided as approximately 5 meters, but not exactly 5 meters here. So the actual topography is less emphasized, and the actual location of architectural features is emphasized. So just wanted to highlight that when we talk about Teotihuacan, that there's a slight difference in interpretation based on the context of the data that we're dealing with, given the part of the world that we're in. Obviously, mapping out architectural features is important when you're in a place that architectural features are present. So that's going to do it for this video, and if you haven't checked out the Cahokia one, go check that one out. If you haven't watched the Valley of the Kings one, go check that one out as well.